So here we are, day 2. Are you ready to begin? So today I want to introduce you to 3 things. We're going to take a look at how your thoughts, your energy and emotions influence your entire experience. I want to explain to you why affirmations, visualizations, and maybe some of the things you've tried doing to shift and change your life before haven't always worked. But I also want to let you really get an understanding of what it is that generally stands in our way. It's not usually anything outside of us. It's usually something we're doing that is standing in the way of us moving forward and changing our life at the speed that we would like it to. We know that life is moving the direction that we want it to be, rather than being at effect of the things that happen to us. Now, in the same way that we talked about energy being in one of those 3 states, the same thing happens on a mental and emotional level. So on a mental level, if we want to think about those 3 flows of energy, what we commonly refer to as a limiting belief, beliefs that stop us from moving forwards, that often really hold us back, or they stop us from taking any steps forward at all. That is a reversed energy on a mental level. When we think about a negative belief, it's one of those beliefs that is like a resistance. It's pulling us in the 2 directions. There's part of us that wants to go in one direction, but the other half of us is holding on. There's something holding us back. Remember back to that annoying kid that you want to punch on the nose at school who's holding on to your jumper. That's what a negative belief is like. It's not positive. It's not moving you in the direction you want. It just kind of keeps you stuck. But it's not reversed energy, which is dragging you back and stopping you from moving forward. It just keeps you stuck where you are. And then, of course, we have positive beliefs, positive thoughts, positive beliefs. And that's an inflow belief. On a mental level, that's our energy in the inflow state. So the same thing happens with our emotions. When we think about our emotions are in one of 3 states. Now, obviously, there are lots of different emotions, and I'll talk to you about those in a second. But if we're trying to compare this with the 3 flows of energy, any emotion such as fear or depression is a reversed emotion. Our energy is driving in the opposite direction of the thing that we want. All other emotions, except for love, are somewhere between the inflow state, which is love. So the most inflow emotion we can have is love. Every other emotion is somewhere between fear and love. And there is actually an emotional scale originally created by Dr. David Hawkins, where he's actually mapped over the vibrational frequency of each emotion. And emotions like depression, fear, guilt, anger, overwhelm are all the lowest vibrating emotions. They're the slowest, lowest energy emotions we can feel. And if you think about how they affect us, they literally pull us down. Then when you're in that state of happiness, when you're in love, when you're enjoying life, when you're feeling really empowered, you feel like you're on top of the world and you are literally buzzing. And that's because the frequency of the emotion is actually much higher. So all emotions are somewhere between fear and love. Fear being the most reversed, love being the most inflow, and all other emotions are somewhere along that scale, somewhere in between. The more you pay attention to what you think and what you feel, the quicker that your life is going to change when you start applying EAM to those limiting thoughts and limiting beliefs, because those are the things that are standing in your way, what you're thinking and what you're feeling. How many times, just think about this week, how many times have you found yourself saying to someone, I don't have the money, I'm too busy, I'm too flat out, I'm not good enough, I'm overwhelmed, I'm exhausted. How many times have you found yourself whinging about all of the things that you've got to do? Now, I say whinging with love, please don't be offended. I mean it in that when we're sitting there focusing on, oh, I've got all of this stuff to do, or I'm too busy, or I haven't got the money, we are perpetuating more of the situation that we say that we don't want by giving our energy to it. So in order for you to start changing your life, you need to shift the way you think and the way you feel. And that comes down to paying attention to what you feel on a moment by moment basis. All negative emotions are an indication of stuck energy. They are telling you that there is resistance in what you're feeling. There's something in your energy that is standing in your way. So if you're feeling jealous, overwhelmed, angry, frustrated, peed off, depressed, guilty, any of those things that bring you into that lower vibrational space, that make you feel tired or make you feel exhausted, you know that your energy is what we call down below the line, and that will make much more sense in a moment when I show you the next couple of images. But if you're noticing that you're in that stuck place, just know it's all energy. That's all it is. It's just energy, and you can redirect it. Usually, the thing that we think we're frustrated about at the moment isn't actually the thing that's really stuck in our energy. How many times have you found yourself exploding with rage at your partner or child or your boss at work or your colleague? And it's not, maybe they've left a tea bag on the side, or they didn't shut the bin lid, or they didn't put their washing in the wash basket. Did you ever overreact to something somebody did? The answer is probably yes. We've all done it at some point. Now, the truth is, the thing that we're experiencing, or the thing we're overreacting to, is very rarely the actual thing that is causing the resistance in your energy or making you feel angry in the first place. It's usually something that we're holding in one of those layers of our aura. It's usually based on past experience. It doesn't have to be something that's even happening in your life right now. And whilst you still hold it in your energy, you're going to continue to attract situations that will repeat more of the same thing. So the work that we do with EAM is designed to help you shift what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and it comes down to the number of times you are prepared to pay attention to what you're feeling and use EAM to shift it so that it's no longer there and will stop playing out in your life. So this is the image I was talking about. This is our version of the emotional scale. Now, like I said, Dr. David Hawkins is the original creator of this. His doesn't look like this, but he first gave us the graphical representation of the different emotions. So if you look right down at the bottom, this is also in your worksheet for day 2 as well. So don't worry if you can't see it on the video, but you should be able to see clearly on the screen. Right down at the bottom, we've got emotions such as fear, powerlessness, depression, guilt, hatred, anger, jealousy, blame, and overwhelm and frustration. Now, you'll see as you come higher up that scale, the emotions are less dense. The feeling of overwhelm isn't as heavy as a feeling of depression. Depression is literally like one of those things that just makes you feel stuck. You can't move. You've all heard that fear paralyzes people. When someone is truly in that shocked fear state, they could be stood right in front of a train hurtling its way towards them, and they may not move because their body goes into shock. Fear literally keeps us frozen. It's one of the most stuck, slowest emotions, and it will almost literally pull you back. So as we work up the scale, the energy gets a little bit lighter. As we start moving across or above the line, you'll see that we've got emotions like contentment, confidence, happiness, optimism, love, freedom, peace, and joy. The higher up the scale you get, the more in flow that emotion is. The higher the vibration of that emotion is. And we know that's true because of how it makes us feel. When we're happy and empowered and overjoyed, when we feel free, when we're on holiday, all of those times when life feels really good, we feel like we can do anything. We feel like we can conquer the world. And we always can, because it's all just about our experience of what we're feeling day by day. So the important thing for you is to start recognizing where your energy is. Where are you feeling? What are you feeling about any given situation? Is it above the line or is it below the line? Now, the reason that's important, the line is really important, is because it's actually the point where your emotions shift from being in resistance or stuck to more in flow. And when you're in these positive emotions, it means you can start using your energy to create things in your life. It's the energy that will manifest things. Any of these positive emotions will begin to manifest things for you in your life. So the higher up you go, the quicker your life is going to shift and change. Now, this scale is really going to become your best friend. Part of the exercise for today is to actually use the sway to help you identify which emotions you feel about a particular situation. Very often we've got things going on in our lives and it can seem really complicated because we're actually feeling several different things all at once. We're feeling fearful, we're feeling overwhelmed, we're actually a little bit jealous, we're also frustrated, and we're blaming somebody else. And it's all about this one situation. So it just ends up feeling like a giant mass of stuff that you're never going to be able to let go of. So part of the exercise today is for you to use the sway and see which emotions you have about that situation. Now, the great thing is, now you've also got the scale. With step 5, you can align yourself to any of these positive emotions and you can build your way up the scale. You know, do I feel empowered? No. Okay. Do I feel happy? Yes. Okay. So then I'm ready to allow myself to feel more empowered. I allow this into my energy in all forms, on all levels, at all points in time. So you can use this scale to build yourself up to a more empowered, more loving, more happy, more in-flow place on any subject. Now, the scary thing is, we've done this study before, this study and several others before. And in the last study, we actually were able to show that more than 61% of people are living their lives in resistant emotions every single day. Now, bearing in mind, most of the people that come into this already kind of have an understanding of personal development or law of attraction. You know, they've tried other things before. Imagine what that number is in the general population. Probably more in the region of like 75-80% of people are living their life day by day below that line, below that threshold, in feelings of overwhelm, fear, frustration, depression, blame, and they're wondering why their lives are stuck and wondering why their lives aren't shifting and staying, and it just stays the same. So I don't want that to happen for you, because it absolutely just breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart, because nobody has to live their life like that. All of these emotions are just energy. And when you can shift the energy, you know that you can get yourself into that happier, more aligned, more invibed place. Now, please don't get me wrong. Don't think that I spend all day, every day, like skipping around in a happy little rainbow cloud and nothing bad ever happens. Of course it does. Of course I still have days where I go, oh, it's just not fair. I hate the world, da da da. Okay, maybe not I hate the world, but I still have days where I'm probably a little bit more out of flow than I would like to be. And the wonderful thing is I use EAM. I use this to bring myself back into that space and get myself back in flow, because it's all just energy. It's all just an experience, and it's all happened because I've allowed my thinking or allowed how I'm feeling to get carried away and drawn into a situation. And the more I do it, the quicker my life shifts. And I know the same thing happens for everyone else who's using this too. So just for a moment, just pause for a second and give yourself just a moment to reflect on what I've shared. What's coming up for you? Where have you seen this happening in your life? Does that make sense to you, what I've talked about with the emotional scale? Can you see the difference in the way that these emotions feel? And can you understand the power in stepping into some of those more inflow emotions? So now you've had a little think, and you can probably see where your energy might have been below the line, and where in some places your energy is probably way above the line. You'll start to become much more familiar with this emotional scale. But it's not just about the way that you feel. It's not just how you're feeling in each and every moment. You see, the other reason it's really important is because what you're feeling is actually the thing that is being reflected back to you energetically. So think about this for a moment. You get up in the morning, you're feeling really stressed out. You're thinking about work, you're worrying about money, you go in the kitchen, you stub your toe on the floor, you get the kids ready, you bundle them in the car, you drop them off at school, you manage to get yourself to work, you sit down at the desk, you open your emails, and all of a sudden there's just a flood of more work for you to do. You end up feeling really stressed out, really overwhelmed. So you go and give yourself 15 minutes just to sit and meditate and get yourself in a good space before you go back and start at the desk again. And then you're back into the hustle and bustle. You're bitching with the person at the office over the water cooler about that other person that said something about you last week because Joan was just such a cow. Then you drive all the way back, go and pick the kids up, go home, shout at them until they get themselves ready. Then you have dinner. You manage to get the kids in bed on time, and then you sit down in the sofa and drink a glass of wine before you fall asleep and wake up and do the same thing all over again. Now, in your day, you manage to squeeze yourself in 15 minutes of meditation. And during that 15 minutes, you could feel your energy had gone to that place of love, of peace, of freedom, of empowerment. You were feeling great. Now, don't get me wrong. I am so chuffed that you managed to squeeze that 15 minutes in amongst everything else that you had going on. However, what do you think your energy is sending out? Do you think it sent out the strong message that you held during that 15 minutes? Or do you think that it's the other 23 hours and 45 minutes of the day that you've been stressed out, overwhelmed, feeling depressed, feeling peed off, screaming at the universe? What is happening and what is coming back to you is a direct response to what you're feeling as your predominant emotion all day, every day. Now, of course, in different situations, you're going up and down across that emotional scale. But what's your base level? What is your predicted common emotion that you're staying at? Are you in a common space above the line? Are you usually happy, content, and feeling empowered? Or are you usually overwhelmed, frustrated, blaming everybody else around you, feeling guilty, depressed, peed off, or overwhelmed? Because the universe, if you want to see it as something outside of you, which it isn't, because we're all part of it, but that's what's coming back to you. That's what you're seeing coming back to you all the time, is a feedback of what's happened in your energy. So it's really important to shift your baseline energy. We call it your emotional set point. What you feel on a day-by-day basis, what you're feeling as your predominant emotion, because that will determine what you attract back into your life and the speed at which your life will change. So I cannot underline and emphasize enough how important your emotions are. Remember, our heart energy is 5,000 times more powerful than our mind. So just working on positive mindset isn't the only piece of the puzzle. You have to pay attention to what you feel, because that's what's coming back to you. Now, I can't share all of the results with you from our last study because we're doing a study right now and I'm studying exactly the same things that we did before. So I can't share the results with you from that. But if you ever come along to one of our 2-day live events, I will share it with you there. But the results are amazing. When you start using EAM for yourself to let go of these emotions, because they are all just energy, you can create massive shifts. And I'm talking things that most people would take months or years to let go of, you can do in minutes or hours with this process. So please listen, please share what I'm sharing with you, and go away and start applying this. Now, if you want to know more about that, and the original study we did, that's something we have called the Energy Experience. And it's a 7-day journey working up that emotional scale, and specifically working on shifting your emotional set point up above the line. Now, this is very often what we were just talking about, the reason why our affirmations and positive thinking haven't worked. If you've ever done a little post-it note that you've stuck up on the side and said, "Universe, please bring me £1 million," and then you've gone about your day in the way that we just shared, feeling stressed out and overwhelmed and really busy, the universe is responding to what you feel. It's responding to what you're feeling on a moment-by-moment basis. So it hasn't bought you the £1 million because you've possibly been looking at your bank account or worrying about debt or feeling stressed out about all the bills coming in or worrying about money or worrying about cash flow. That's the reason that those positive affirmations and visualizations and things that you've done before may not have worked for you. And it's not that they don't work, but they can't work whilst you still have that resistance about that subject in your energy. Now, this is why we do step 4, releasing the resistance before you do the positive affirmations and visualizations, because those are manifesting steps. And manifesting steps don't work unless you release the resistant energy about that subject, because otherwise you are pulling yourself in 2 different directions. So you have to release the resistance about that subject before you can start to manifest it. But usually that's the thing that's standing in your way. It's not that affirmations and visualizations don't work, but you have to release the resistance around the subject that you're asking for before they really will. So many people think that they can just sit and meditate or just write in their journal, and all of a sudden, a massive grand piano is going to be parked in their living room, or they're going to have a beautiful car, or the amazing amount of money is going to fall into their life, whatever it is they're asking for. And the truth is, you have to take action. So first of all, you really need to shift what is going on up here and in here, because the thing that usually stands in the way of us taking action is what we're thinking and what we're feeling. So if you've had any aha moments from today, I would love to hear what came up for you, whatever it is that you've got going on, and please make sure that you ask your questions. Okay? So in your worksheet today, we're going to really be looking at the thoughts and the emotions that you're feeling about any particular subject. Now, one of the biggest thought patterns that tends to stand in our way is actually a lack of making decisions, a fear of making decisions, because we are so scared of making the wrong choice. So we end up getting stuck, making no choices and no decisions, rather than actually getting on with finding an aligned answer, releasing the resistance that stands in the way, and clearing whatever thoughts and beliefs we have so that we can get a true answer of what's important to us. Now, in order to work on thoughts, it's not easy to feel your thoughts. If you think about a thought, you don't feel a thought in your energy. So the way that we use EAM is slightly different when you're working on thoughts and beliefs. If you remember yesterday when I introduced the 5 steps, on step 3, on new experience, I said that there is actually another way of using EAM with that. So with step 3, you can use this way to help you identify how many of something you have. Now, this doesn't only come down to thoughts and beliefs, you can quantify anything. So if you struggle with feeling something that's happened in your energy, you can ask this way, how many times have you thought something? Or how many times have you felt something? Or how many patterns of something do you have? So for example, say I was working on my lack of being able to make a decision, I might say to this way, do I have trouble making a decision? It would say yes. And go, okay, so how many times have I struggled to make a decision? More than 10? Yeah. Okay. More than 100? Yeah. More than 1,000? Yeah. Okay. More than 10,000? Yeah. Ooh, okay. More than 100,000? Yeah, probably. More than 1 million. And say I got to 1 million and it said no. So I know somewhere between 100,000 and 1 million is the number of times that I've stopped myself from making a decision. Now, I don't want you to go up one by one by one, because that would take you forever. So go halfway, whatever number you've got, then go halfway. So is it more than 500,000? No. Okay, so halfway again. More than 250,000? No. Okay, halfway again. More than 100,000? Yes. Okay, more than 125,000? Yes or no. So use this way to help give you a ballpark. You don't have to get down to the exact number. Now, what we're counting here are the number of times in your life you have had that thought pattern. Now, the wonderful thing with EAM is you don't have to go back and find all 125,000 times that you've not made a choice. You can let them go all at once. Hallelujah. How much easier is that going to be able to let go of the thoughts and patterns that are standing in your way by using numbers? So it's really important part of the process that you're able to use the numbers method, especially if you're clearing things that are happening on a mental level. because we don't feel our thoughts. We don't feel what's happening on a mental level. So use the numbers to quantify the number of thoughts, number of beliefs, or number of patterns that you have. You can also use this on the number of emotions you have, or the number of times you've felt that emotion. So you could say, how many times have I felt depressed? More than 10, more than 100, more than 1,000. And use exactly that same process. I'm ready to release the 100,000 times that I've felt depressed. I release it from my energy in all forms, on all levels, at all points in time. Now with step 4, with using numbers, you then need to check in. So you say, do I still have 100,000 of these? And it will say no. Okay, so then you go, do I have more than 50,000? No. More than 10,000? No. More than 1,000? Yes. Okay. So then you would find exactly the number, or roughly the region of the number. Say it was another 5,000, you've got it down to. I'm ready to release these remaining 5,000 beliefs that I'm not good enough, or whatever it is you're working on. And keep repeating that cycle, then check in again, have I released them all? Until you get down to 0. You need to make sure that you bring it down to 0, not 10, not 5, not 20, don't leave 100 there, get it down to 0. Now, sometimes when you get down to the last few, it might be a bit more difficult for them to go, or you might feel like you get it down to 10 and you can't get it any lower. Usually those 10 are energy reversals, or that whatever that number is that it seems to get stuck at, they might be energy reversals. Now you can try, ask this way, am I able to release all 10 of these energy reversals at once? And it might say yes, it might say no. If it says no, then follow the energy reversal process I shared with you in the day 1 worksheet and work through each of those 10 things, okay? And you might find that all of them disappear, or 1 or 2 of them disappear. Or you might have to repeat it 1 or 2 times, before they all go. But using the numbers method enables you to get a very clean, very clear, decisive answer from the sway. Have I let all of those beliefs go? Yes, brilliant. So then with step 5, I'm ready to allow myself to believe I am more than enough, or I am amazing. You can use step 5 to manifest more good thoughts or more new beliefs. What would you like to instill? What would you like to believe instead? What's the new thought pattern, the new belief pattern that you would like to have? And that's exactly what you can embody with step 5. Again, make sure that you're raising your arms in the air, because it's a really powerful way to call the energy in. But using the numbers method is really simple, really easy, and a very practical way. For those of you who are a bit more analytical and a little bit less feely, it's a really good way for you to use EAM on anything that you've got. Any questions, please make sure that you ask them inside the Facebook group about this, okay? So, super quick summary of today. Thoughts and emotions are also working in those same 3 flows of energy. Everything we experience is somewhere along that emotional scale. And everything that you're trying to shift or trying to change, you've got an emotion about it. So you need to understand whether it's below the line or above the line. So make that emotional guidance scale your super, 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 super best friend. And please just remember to pay attention to what you're feeling. What you're feeling is more important than what you're thinking when it comes to shifting our experience. Both of them play a part, but what you're feeling is going to tell you how quickly things are coming back to you. Now, the wonderful thing about EAM is that it gives you instant feedback. Use the sway to help you get clarity on what emotions you feel. I really want to make sure that your affirmations, your visualizations, the meditations, all of that positive work is going to start working for you. And in order to do that, you have to do step 4 and manifest with step 5. So have lots of fun with this because it is going to be heaps of fun. I promise you're going to really enjoy it. And I'll see you in the day 3 video.